Hello and welcome to Clearview News. We are reaching you live from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. In the news, Independent National Electoral Commission raises the alarm over talks being mobilized for Bayelsa and Kogi state governorship elections holding on November 16. Nigerians living with disabilities lament ill treatment at nation's airports, demand improved services. Indonesian lawyer who helped in drafting the law against adultery but caught having sex with a married woman flogged publicly. I am Francis Etuko. With 2 weeks to the governorship elections in Bayelsa and Kogi states, the chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has raised a fresh alarm over what he described as the mobilization of thugs from within and outside both states to disrupt the polls. He raised the alarm on Friday at a meeting with security agencies ahead of the elections in both states. Our correspondent, Anitie Patrick, has more.
This quarterly meeting with the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security is coming 2 weeks to the governorship election in Bayelsa and Kogi states. Traditionally, both states remain a big heartache for INEC in terms of security. The last time both states held governorship elections, the polls were not concluded at the first ballot. The INEC chairman says hotspots have been identified in the two states. He adds that the police have guaranteed the safety of electoral officials and materials.
In the last 2 weeks, the Commission met a couple of times with the leadership of the Nigeria Police, being the lead agency for election security. At these meetings, we reviewed the situation in Bayelsa and Kogi states and how best to secure the environment to enable the Commission to conduct free and fair elections. Doing so means providing security that will guarantee the safety of voters, protection of INEC officials, both regular and ad hoc staff, unimpeded movement, including access to polling units and collation centers for election officials, accredited polling agents, observers, and the media, effectively and dispassionately dealing with disruptive behavior by some political actors and persons acting on their behalf, enforcement of the restriction of movement in both states on election day, and the prompt arrest and prosecution of offenders. There are already warning signals in the two states. Both are politically volatile. Elections were severely disrupted in the past by violence. Our own risk assessment, which will be shared with the security agencies at this meeting, has identified some flashpoints. We are also concerned that thugs have been mobilized from within and outside the states with the aim of either influencing the elections or disrupting the process on behalf of partisan sponsors.
The presence of the Inspector General of Police here underlines the fact that these two states' elections are being taken seriously. Over 60,000 police personnel have been deployed for both states.
And we have made adequate provision in terms of personnel and logistics to overcome any security challenge that will manifest. In Bayelsa State, we are deploying about 31,041 personnel to cover the election. In Kogi State, we are deploying about 35,200 personnel to cover the election. These personnel are to cover every terrain in the two states. No doubt will be allowed to be brought from any other adjoining states to these states to disrupt elections. all those areas will be manned. The security of the INEC materials, election materials are guaranteed by this deployment.
Previous elections in Bayelsa and Kogi states have always been characterized by violence. Signs on the ground in both of them do not indicate that they have turned a new leaf. Professor Yakubu, however, told the security agencies that Nigerians expect that lessons must have been learned from previous elections to ensure a swift security response to the increasing desperation by political actors to disrupt elections and subvert the will of the electorate. Anita Patrick, reporting for Clearview Television.
The Court of Appeal sitting in Ibadan has dismissed the petition filed by the former governor for your state, Bola Ajimobi, challenging the verdict of the election tribunal which upheld the victory of Senator Kola Balogun in the February 23rd polls. Delivering his verdict on Friday, Justice Aruna Tsamani dismissed Ajimobi's petition for lacking in merit. Balogun in the election polled 105,720 votes against Ajimobi Mani, while earlier judgment set the election tribunal right in his judgment. The judge held that the petitioner does not have the right to raise the issue of non-qualification of the respondent based on the conduct of PDP primary. He maintained, however, that a candidate qualifies once he or she satisfies the conditions set by the electoral umpire and the political party. The Senate Minority Leader, Einaya Abaribe, has charged lawmakers at the state and federal level to always uphold the interest of the people above any other interest. Speaking when he was received at the Abia State House of Assembly, Abaribe said the only way quality representation can be delivered to the voting populace is to make lawmakers think first about the people. Our correspondent brings us more. The event marks the first in the process of fostering unity between states and federal legislators. The Abia State House of Assembly hosted the Senate Minority Leader, Einaya Abaribe, and Honorable Nkiruka Onyegocha, who is the Deputy Whip of the House of Representatives. Abaribe at the special plenary hinged on the need to think first of the people and delivering the dividends of democracy.
And you have one responsibility, one singular responsibility, and that is to our citizens of Abia State who voted you into office.
I'm going to work closely with you before this project expire to make sure that all the rules and all the places that you have mentioned will take it into consideration.
Chief host of the event, Speaker of the Abia State Assembly, Chinedum Orji, charged all lawmakers to work together despite the differences in parties.
We also extend our appreciation to the governor of the state for maintaining a harmonious relationship between him and the federal legislators.
The event provided a platform to x-ray and explore the importance of maintaining a harmonious relationship between the executive and the legislature in Abia in order to move the Southeast state forward. The Kwara State House of Assembly has confirmed the 16 commissioner nominees forwarded to it by Governor Abdul Rahman Abdul Razak. They are Ainla Jawundo Salman, Suleiman Rotami Ilyasu, architect Aliyu Muhammad Saifuddin, and Ariet Adenike Afolabi or Shati Mejin. Others are Sadatu Modibo Kau, Dr. Raji Razak, Muritala Olanrewaju, Aremu Abosade Deborah, and Aisha Aman Batige. Also confirmed as commissioners are Oyeyemi Olasumbo Florence, Lafia Aliyu Kora Sabi, Ahmed Fatima Bisola, Oyedun Juliana Funke, Agbaje Wahab Femi, and Joanna Nazao Kolo and Ariola Fatima Lawal. This is coming after the screening of the last batch of 4 nominees by the House in plenary on Thursday. The House, satisfied with all the nominees, asked each to bow and go. During the screening, the lawmakers eulogized a former governor of Kwara State, Lawal, for his tremendous efforts at ensuring the survival of democracy. Democrats ruled out any mass defection in the party due to the outcome of the Supreme Court judgment that dismissed the party's presidential election petition against victory of President Muhammadu Buhari. Addressing journalists on Thursday at the party's secretariat in Abuja, the National Publicity Secretary, Kola Ologbondiyan, said the party remains strong, adding that the Supreme Court's verdict did not in any way affect it. He said that the party, he said that the Supreme Court's dismissal of the PDP presidential petition will make the party stronger. This, he said, is because Nigerians perceive the judgment as anti-people. He also added that the judgment will make Nigerians see PDP as a rallying point because the party is always at the helm of championing the people's interest. It will not cause any mass defections. Rather, it will make Nigerians who are suffering from bad governance to see the PDP much more as a people-oriented party. Kola added that the rebound and the changes are brighter. He ended his statement by saying, however, that the party has raised the alarm over alleged plans by the ruling All Progressives Congress APC and the Independent National Electoral Commission did not monitor the primary elections, thus questioning its credibility. Ologbondiyan added that the PDP warning is predicated on intelligence available to the National Secretariat of the by plots from INEC officers and certain APC leaders to alter INEC's monitoring report and delist the PDP candidate in a bid to make Governor Ayabelo the only strong candidate and deny the people of Kogi State their desire to vote in his candidate, Musa Wada. The party also cautioned that any attempt to tamper with the party's candidature will trigger the wrath of the people. The Independent National Electoral Commission says it has commenced prosecution of some of its ad hoc staff accused of involvement in electoral malpractices during the 2019 presidential polls. Speaking at the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room Dialogue, with resident electoral commissioners of the two states, INEC's National Commissioner of Information and Voter Education and Publicity, Festus Okoye, said the commission had barred some ad hoc staff from participating in the conduct of its elections, while some who participated in the 2019 general elections will be facing prosecution. Okoye added that INEC will commence the process of creating new permanent polling units and constituencies by the first quarter of next year, after consultations with relevant stakeholders. He also said that the Commission could not continue with the ad hoc arrangement of creating emergency polling units as stopgaps during elections. He said the Commission has also made it clear that the results of the November 16 governorship elections in Bayelsa and Kogi states will be collated and transmitted manually as dictated by law. Our preparations for the conduct of the governorship elections in Bayelsa and Kogi states, the National Commissioner said that the commission was in the final stages of deployment, having deployed sensitive materials for the polls. While giving statistics of voter population, Okoye said that a total of 1,646,750 registered voters will take part in the voting in the 2,544 polling units in Kogi governorship election. He also said that 23 political parties will be participating in elections, while 45 parties will be on the ballot in Bayelsa governorship polls. He added that INEC's national chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, will hold the last batch of consultations with stakeholders and community leaders by November 7 to ensure that all goes well during the elections. According to Okoye, INEC has taken adequate measures to protect its staff on election duty, especially the presiding officers and returning officers, from any form of harassment and intimidation. With regards to election security, the Kogi State Police Command said approval has been given for the deployment of 25,000 policemen during the governorship election. Similarly, the Nigeria Security Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) said it is planning to deploy 10,000 men to emerge a peaceful election in Kogi State. You're watching Clearview News. We'll return after this break.
The Kogi Trade and Tourism Expo is here. Come and showcase your products and make more sales while you discover more business opportunities. Date 1st to 3rd November 2019. Venue H Drive Hotel, Lokoja, Kogi State Capital. Theme: harnessing opportunities for sustainable economic development. For inquiries, call the following numbers: 0803-684-8623, 0803-453-7392, and 0803-656-9993. Facebook, Kogi Trade Expo 2019, and Instagram, Kogi Trade and Tourism Expo. Kogi Trade and Tourism Expo, business opportunities at your disposal.
Ute. Let me give phone to Smally, make I follow up.
Go. It's Wasil, your former driver.
Hey! Wasil! The video call! Oh, Kaka! Mommy! With my Glow 4G, I can now upload my cars online, sell, and make plenty profit. Guess what they call me now, mommy? The new mega online car dealer.
Wasil! Right now when the iron is hot.
See, we won't be like Shaki. Now, come and meet you specially and bring one big one for you.
Why you won't see me?
Your daughter. I want to marry her.
You know where? I've been wanting to know the Lord.
Hello?
When Glow 4G day of you, confidence must stay body. Data is oxygen. Glow 4G, the new speed of life. Your number one 4G network nationwide. The very best from Glow, the grandmasters of data.
Welcome back. The acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Magu, on Friday refused to answer questions regarding a petition submitted against All Progressive Congress chieftain Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Magu, who held a press conference in Abuja, had lamented the high rate of corruption in the country, especially among the youths who perpetrate internet fraud. However, when asked to give an update on the petition submitted against Tinubu, Magu, who appeared agitated, asked the journalist to move to the next question.
And there is pressure that we should arrangement. The government has made arrangements for the disposal of the recovered assets, and we are not going to do it. It has to be competitive bidding. It's competitive bidding. It is not going to be like before, where the court would just say and the sheriff will go and sell a property value 10 million naira for just 500,000 naira. No, we cannot do that, because the proceed of the revenue generated from recovered asset has been made a budget line that the revenue so realized will now go back to the treasury to be used for running. So we cannot afford to do like before. We have to follow all the necessary process and procedures. We have to be very, very transparent. Very, very. And we are always open. You can always check. If you want to report, if you want to give a balanced report, because some people will go and see what we have and go and turn it upside down. which is not fair. Which is not fair. If we are wrong, please tell the world that we are wrong. If we are corrupt, if I'm corrupt, tell them that yes, we are just pretending, but not because you don't like me or because somebody who doesn't like me has paid. That you rubbish me. It's not fair. You have responsibility in the fight against corruption. You have divine mandate. God has created all of us to do good to fellow human beings. God has not created you to do injustice to fellow human beings. And that is exactly what is happening in this country. We are going to fight corruption to the last day, until the last second, I'm telling you. We are worried also because of the activities of the NGOs in the Northeast. We are conducting very serious investigation. Very soon will come out. Yes. In fact, we will blank in some of them because some of their activities are very worrisome. There are a lot of cash movement. Sometimes they bring in cash, they fly in the cash. So we have not completed the investigation. We are working on some few NGOs, and I disagree. I think they should discontinue. There's no way some of these NGOs will continue to operate in this country because we are facing a lot of insurgency and this mining, illegal mining activities, banditry. They are all founded, yes, by looters and by people who are opposed to peaceful coexistence of Nigerians. I will give you a chance to ask question. Please ask question pertaining to what I do here. Yes. Outside that, I will not answer. Please.
Recall that the convener concerned Nigerians, Deji Adeyanju, had last week submitted a petition against Tinubu for having two cash-laden bullion vans in a compound on the eve of the presidential elections in February. Tinubu has stated during an interview that the money belonged to him and he was free to distribute it to his supporters since he was not a government official. Incidentally, the EFCC is currently prosecuting the son-in-law of the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, for attempting to distribute money ahead of the same elections. The Christian Association of Nigeria has taken a swipe at the planned Operation Positive Identification, stressing that it was not well thought out. CAN's National Director for Legal and Public Affairs, Evangelist Samuel Kwanko, who spoke in Abuja, questioned what business the military has in identifying the civilian populace. Kwanko fears that what is viewed as soft military operations may be tough on civilians. He added that soldiers may sometimes be overzealous and may beat up civilians over personal issues. The CAN official wondered what parameters have been employed by the military to identify civilians. He also was inquisitive about what identification the military thinks the civil population has over time obtained, especially when the national identity card has not been made available to all Nigerians. Kwanko, in his opinion, said the federal government should equip the police to perform its constitutional role. The Nigerian Air Force has reassured air travelers in Nigeria that attacks against airspaces by insurgent groups cannot be achieved with the level of capacity training it has continued to carry out among various security apparatus in the country. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Vice Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, gave the confidence in Kano at a simulation exercise that was witnessed by the Kano State Governor, Abdullahi Ganduje. Clearview Television brings you details.
The Chief of Air Staff is confident that the Steel Dome will enhance and improve the tactical capacity and collaboration between security organizations in tackling threats from various insurgent groups targeted at the nation's airspace. The chief host at the events, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, re-echoed the confidence of the president's administration has in the capacity of the Air Force to successfully ward off any form of attack against the country's airspace.
Today's exercise, therefore, will be instrumental in enhancing our capacity to swiftly respond to security threats within our airports. This will further boost the confidence of passengers and other staff workers that are working within the airport environment. May I, at this point, express our profound gratitude to the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, for making the security of Nigeria a cardinal objective of his administration.
It is highly successful and well coordinated. And this shows that we have committed Air Force men. We have people who are really determined, and we have people who are knowledgeable about security of this nation. I believe if we continue like this, the success in fighting banditry, in fighting all forms of insecurity situation will succeed in Nigeria. And this exercise in particular in Kano has added value to the airport because international communities now will take Kano as a safe airport.
The event brought to the fore the important role Air Force play in the fight against insurgency and any image of the country.
Several sectors under the Nigerian Film Corporation met at the top armed forces officers at the Nigerian Army Resource Center, ASO Drive Abuja. The gathering brainstormed on the next line of action for boosting the production of quality Nigerian movies. Clearview Television's correspondent Chinedu Mbatwego was at the conference and now brings details.
The Nigerian Defense Chief, who was represented by Rear Admiral O.H. Ngalabak, called for the need to collaborate with the film industry so as to explain certain realities and encounters of the armed forces through movies. Admiral Ngalabak cited Hollywood military movies such as Black Hawk, Act of Valor, and the likes, stating that such movies narrate certain actions and encounters of the military.
We have realized that there is need, as you will see in the film that will show us in a while from now, these things are being done in other climes. I'm sure many of you have seen Black Hawk Down. You have seen it. That film is an interpretation of what happened because all of a sudden Americans saw on CNN American soldiers being dragged on the streets of Somalia and they were being brutalized and like they have been defeated. And for a nation like that, for the military, it's like, what happened? Why is our military brought so low? What happened? What is the problem? They felt so bad. So the military now felt there's a need to interpret or to explain from their own point of view what really happened. They made Nollywood. In fact, they already had a collaboration ongoing. They made Nollywood. They made their own version and explained what really happened. And when the civilians in America saw the film Black Hawk Down, they now cheered the military as heroes instead of villains. So we think there's a need for us to have that kind of collaboration because things are happening. You just hear that somebody was killed in Maiduguri. You just hear that soldier did this, so that it's like, what really happened? Why are soldiers like that? What is happening? Why is the military looking like they don't know what they are doing? There is an explanation for everything that happened. And we think it is you to help us to pass the message across. That is why we have called you for this collaboration.
The Managing Director, Nigerian Film Corporation, Chidia Madwekwe, in his remarks, noted that now is the time the Nigerian film industry needs to upgrade and standardize its military movies to achieve quality and meet national aspirations.
As a great continental fighting force that has so much positive records to its credit over time, the time has come for us as people to project those firm capabilities of our armed forces that earned them several accolades from United Nations and other world bodies. Presently, there are many exploits of our armed men, and such stories can easily be produced as epic movies under effective supervision of our global acclaimed filmmakers gathered here. The Defense HQ will be willing and hereby announces through me this afternoon their preparedness to partner with Nigerian film stakeholders through the auspices of the Nigerian Film Corporation NFC to produce such world standard films that will be good for both local and global consumption. So today, if you want to shoot film that has to do with the Nigerian creek, the Niger Delta area, I want to tell you that you have at your disposal prime gunboats of the Nigerian Armed Forces. We want to assure you that in those kind of films, the actors will wear the proper Nigerian naval uniform. The correct ranking must be placed where it's supposed to be. And the real fighting gun will be made available for them.
The relationship between the Nigerian Defense and the Nigerian Film Corporation, according to Rear Admiral Ngalabak, has been over 40 years. It is now time for the two bodies to advance in their military production. Chinedu Mbatwegu, reporting for Clearview Television.
Claims that land borders in southern Nigeria have been closed while those in the northern parts of the country have been left to thrive unhindered is not true. The Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Ahmed Ibrahim, who dispelled the rumor, said the federal government's decision is not in any way political, but aimed at boosting local production to jumpstart the economy. Our correspondent now reports that the custom chief made the clarification in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, after inspecting some seized contraband goods.
The Customs Controller General Hamid Ibrahim gave further details after inspecting the seized containers of 1,530 kilograms of bagoline for export, tomato paste, and canned mackerel.
Port Harcourt Area 1 Command has affected seizures of 1,530 kilograms of pangolin scales, falsely declared as shell raw materials for analysis, were found to contain 32 packages of pangolin scales concealed in 2 wooden pallets. This contravenes Schedule 6 of the Common External Tariff and Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, which prohibits trading in pangolin scales and other endangered plants and animals. The items have a black market value of 826.2 million. The command also made seizure of 10 by 20 feet containers found to contain tomato paste, which I've just taken you around to see, and 2 by 20 feet containers of canned mackerel fish.
He expressed worry that most of the imported goods were not good for consumption, especially rice, chicken, and many other items.
Our rice are better, they are fresh, no chemical added to it. We have this penchant appetite for foreign goods. We don't know what we consume. We consume chemicals, and at the end of the day, we end up with all sicknesses.
On speculations that the northern borders remain open while the southern borders have been closed, the customs boss said it is not true, as all Nigerian borders have been shut to boost local production.
Those borders are our first and foremost concern because they are more porous than the sea borders. So our hands-on in that is much more than what you think. So for anybody to think that we are closing the west and the southeast and then opening the north, that is not true.
The Customs Controller General therefore appealed to Nigerians to support the customs service to check smuggling of contraband goods into the country.
Over the years, persons living with disabilities have had to cope with a great deal of inconveniences and discomfort as passengers either at the point of boarding or when disembarking from the airplane. This media briefing is coming after some sad experiences a cross-section of Nigerians who have over the years been subjected to some demeaning treatment, decided to bear their minds. Clearview television correspondent Anita Patrick tells us more.
Addressing the media in Abuja over the cause of concerns of persons with disability by airline operators, the Executive Director, Inclusive Friends Association, Grace Jerry, said some airlines reject passengers with disabilities who may be traveling without an aid, and this has been a major challenge over time, hence the need for stakeholders to help put an end to the ugly predicaments. She further said seats in the plane is not designed to accommodate wheelchairs or reduce mobility. As a result, their movements while on board is forcefully restricted.
Gratefully, persons with disabilities are assisted to board first, but they are forced to alight at all. They are forced to alight last after all other passengers, regardless of how urgent the need may be. Another wrong notion by airline operatives not allowing passengers with disabilities who use electric wheelchair to board or to check in is that the batteries is an explosive device. However, in handling these wheelchairs, airline attendants have mistakenly or carelessly caused damages to these wheelchairs and the batteries. That has been my experience as a person with disabilities and other persons with disabilities here.
Lending her voice to the monumental injustice every time they travel, the executive director, Cedar Seed Foundation, Lois Auta, said the PWDs are charging the airlines operators to ensure equality of treatment and non-discrimination against PWDs in Nigeria, provide lift trucks to board PWDs into aircraft and provide same when disembarking.
Persons with disabilities have the right to travel conveniently and comfortable like every other passenger. In Article 9 of UNCRPD, United Nations Conventions on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, it talks about our rights as persons with disabilities on access to infrastructures, access to the airport, access to transport facilities, and any other thing you think about accessibility. Is our airport accessible? Our roads, are they accessible? No. Transport facilities, are they accessible? Enough is enough of this nonsense.
Also, other stakeholders employ airlines that have subjected PWDs to ill treatment to tender an apology, calling on all airlines in Nigeria to produce a technical directive for managing PWDs and passengers needing assistance as part of their official procedures.
It's our right to travel. Many persons with disabilities these days are doing a lot of work on development, and they need to travel. Why should we be left behind in everything?
PWDs vow to make litigations against any airline that maltreats, discriminates, or marginalizes PWDs in Nigeria as they call for an overhauling of rusty and rickety airport wheelchairs. Annie T. Patrick, reporting for Clearview Television.
Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi says his administration is determined to end the scourge of HIV and AIDS through the provision of more rapid HIV test kits that would enable new sufferers have access to quality treatment. Ugwuanyi made the promise at the government house at the official launch of the antiviral therapy surge response. Clearview Television has details.
Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi made the declaration at the official launch of antiretroviral therapy surge response at the government house in Enugu. He explained that the state government is desirous of expanding the HIV antiretroviral therapy by enhancing case finding through provision of more rapid HIV test kits to enable new cases benefit from treatment program supported by United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. He noted that Enugu State was one of the first few states in Nigeria to pass a law prohibiting stigmatization and discrimination against people living with HIV.
Henceforth, all card fees, consultation fees, and charges for basic laboratory investigation stands removed.
Goodwill messages from representatives of the World Health Organization and other stakeholders were offered.
So thank you to the government of Enugu and to the governor himself for the great support in Enugu State through this process. But thank you to those of you who each and every day are getting up.
There's a need for treatment for people with HIV, a treatment that can take this disease, which without treatment has a 99% fatality rate with treatment. People can live long, healthy.
Here people are proud to say, I'm sick, I have cancer. Nobody's worried about it. But if somebody says has HIV, then one gets a distance as if HIV is not just one of these sicknesses we are going through.
Available records shows that Enugu State is the 6th most HIV prevalent state in the country.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, says it is working hard to rid Kano State of illicit drugs and their related negative activities. The NDLEA State Commander, Abdullahi, said the efforts are already yielding desired results. As a result of recent study by the command showed that a decline in substance abuse and trafficking. He said Kano State now places 6th in the country.
Kano, when I took over the mantle of leadership of Kano State Command some 11 months ago, Kano was topmost on the list of states that have more prevalence of drug abuse. Drastically, it started going down to 3rd position, and now I'm happy to tell the general public and the Kano people that Kano, in terms of drug abuse, is 6th on the list in the country, which means we are gradually winning the drug war in Kano. And this is not unconnected with the onslaught that and the radical approach using new employed tactics of intelligence-led policing by officers of NDLA, and also the capacity building of our officers, which was introduced by Colonel Mustafa Abdallah, the chairman of NDLA.
However, Abdullahi called for continued public support for the NDLEA, saying a lot more still needs to be done in the fight against drug trafficking and consumption, particularly among Nigerian youths. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has suspended its proposed strike over the federal government's directive to enroll its members into the Integrated Payroll Personnel Information System, IPPIS. ASU's president, Professor Biodun Ogunyemi, said the union has decided to maintain status quo. He said further meetings also at a different fora rejected the deadline, stating that universities operated differently from the civil society and should therefore not be seen as appendages. He noted that the union is proposing another template which will factor in the peculiarities of the universities and promote their interests. The World University Ranking, Ogunyemi stressed that enrolling its members will affect Nigeria's status and discourage visiting lecturers coming into the system. He said IPs will affect the university's ranking because scholars from different parts of the world will not be encouraged to come to Nigeria. He also noted that what the union wants was a governing council that will govern and manage the role of ASU members. He stressed that the IPPIS will erode autonomy of the union, noting that universities are a unique environment and are called universal cities because they are universal marketplaces of ideas. President Muhammadu Buhari, while presenting the 2020 budget proposal before lawmakers on October 8, vowed that federal government employees not captured on the IPPIS platform by October 31st, 2019, will no longer be receiving their salaries. You're watching Clearview News. We'll take a short break and return. Welcome back. And now we move on to the foreign scene. The Indonesian man who worked for an organization that helped draft strict adultery laws has been publicly whipped after being caught having an affair with a married woman. Mukhlis bin Mohammed of the Aceh Umar Council MPU was flogged 29 times. The woman he had the affair with was caned 28 times. Mukhlis is from the deeply conservative Aceh region, the only place in Indonesia which practices the strict Sharia law. Gay sex and gambling are also punishable by public caning in Aceh. The couple were caught by officials in September, apparently in a car parked near a tourist beach. The caning happened Thursday. There are also indications that Mukhlis will be expelled from the NPU. The 46-year-old is also an Islamic religious leader. He is the first religious leader to be publicly caned in Aceh since Sharia law came into force in 2015. Also from the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that he will change his permanent residence from New York to Palm Beach, Florida, claiming he has been treated very badly in the native city. In a tweet that is going viral, the American president lamented that despite paying billions of dollars in federal and state taxes, the treatment meted out to him by both political leaders in New York and the people has been deplorable. Reports from the New York Times have, however, confirmed that the U.S. president and his wife, Melania, had in September filed individual declarations of domicile changing their primary residence from Manhattan to Palm Beach. The New York Times also wrote that White House officials declined to say what Trump changed his primary residence, but cited a source close to the president as saying it was primarily for tax purposes. Other than the White House, the Trump's main residence will now be their Mar-a-Lago resort, where Trump has spent 90 days since becoming president compared to just 20 at his previous primary residence in the Trump Tower. A law introducing new controls on the internet has come into force in Russia amid concerns it may be used by government to silence its critics. In theory, the sovereign internet law gives officials wide-ranging powers to restrict traffic on the Russian web. The Kremlin has said the law will improve cybersecurity. A spokesman said users will not notice any change. Experts, however, say it is unclear how the powers might be used or how effectively they can be implemented. Critics fear the Kremlin will try to create an internet firewall similar to that in China, which tries to eliminate prohibited traffic. The law requires internet services providers to install network equipment capable of identifying the source of web traffic and filter content. In practice, this will allow the Russian telecommunications watchdog to be more effective at blocking sites. You're watching Clearview News. We'll return after this break with sports.
There it is. What a shot from Tiger. And the Jamaican juggernaut scores his first goal for a professional side. And
Hello and welcome to the sporting segment of Clearview Television News. I'm Ogutimei Tolulakwa Ogutimei. The chairman of Edo Sports Festival Local Organizing Committee, Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu, says Edo State is poised to host and win the 2020 Edo Sports Festival. Shaibu stated this during media parley with newsmen at the project site where he inspected the various construction that is ongoing to host the festival.
The state governor, Philip Shaibu, who doubles as the chairman local organizing committee of the 2020 Edo Sports Festival, says facilities need to ensure a successful hosting of the events are already at various stages of completion. He further assured that a training program for both athletes and officials will soon take off in earnest in order to deliver a world-class sports festival.
We are almost at 85 to 90% completion of the Samuel Lumumba Stadium and Sport Arena, where most of the events will take place. The MOC have concluded arrangement for the training of accreditation desk officers, which is scheduled to hold on the 30th and 31st of October in Abuja. Training programs signify the formal commencement of registration for athletes and officials for the game.
But how prepared is Edo State to return to its pride of place? The LOC chairman sheds more light.
This tournament reinforces our strength and determination, not only to return sports back to its home, but to show to the world and to the nation that Edo is back as #1 city and the next destination for sporting activities.
Ahead of Sports Festival, construction work is in top gear to complete the LOC Secretariat on or before December 31st, 2019. The Deputy Governor said this much during an on-the-spot assessment of work at the project site.
Alliance Hospital team leader Dr. Christopher Tabo has stated that Kadri Kana will work freely without pain in 3 months. Dr. Tabo at the press briefing in Abuja said Kadri Kana's surgery will be in 3 phases. The first hip replacement, followed by the second hip replacement and the spinal cord surgery. The reports. For so many years, former Green Eagles defender and Super Falcons coach Kadri Kana has been living in pain because of the injuries sustained while playing for club and country. But that was further aggravated during his time coaching when he was attacked by fans of Kwara United. Since then, he has been managing the injury, but with old age comes more severe pain, and that made him to cry out for help. On hearing about his plight, many Nigerians commiserate with him, but only few can bring out the money needed to perform the surgery. Abuja-based health outfit, Alliance Hospital, with specialty in joint replacement surgery, brain surgery, open heart surgery, kidney transplant, cardiology, decided to help by offering to treat him for free. Team leader Alliance Hospital, Dr. Christopher Tabo, gave the breakdown of the process of surgery while talking to newsmen in Abuja.
We'll be taking him for the first hip. Usually, we'll take the worst hip first before the other one. The surgery is expected to take anything between 2.5 to 3 hours today. And after the surgery, within minutes, you should be able to talk to him. For those of you who would like to come back later to do a follow-up. And 1 week after, we will take the second hip. Yes. And then by the end of 1 month, the 3 surgeries would have been done with. And recovery is very fast. I expect Coach Kadri Kana to be back on his feet jogging in the next 3 months. Yes. Without pain and without deformities.
Kadri Kana, who still can't believe that he's going to have the surgery for free, was full of praise to God and to the hospital.
I feel very delighted to be here. And I think I'm very lucky also to have somebody who is taking responsibility of my health. I don't know how to express my feeling, especially when I read in the social media that the hospital is ready to take up the responsibility of treating me. What I've been saying since then, I've been praying to Almighty God to pay him back the type of coin he's paying me with now.
Minister of Youth and Sport, Sunday Dare, represented by his media assistant, Kola Dionju Daniels, thanked the hospital for coming to the rescue of Kadri Kana and wished them all the best in the operation.
Mr. Sunday Dare, the minister, is so passionate about sporting activities. Most people who have represented the country, who has brought glory to Nigerian. Coach Kadi Kano is not an exception of this statement of mine. If you could still remember vividly back to what Doctor said much earlier, you will be able to understand what Coach Kadi Kano has done for the nation. Like 16 coaches presently in the league has worked under this man in question. I call him a pace setter, a beacon of light, a true ambassador of round leather game. At this junction, Coach Kadi Kano, I'm bringing best wishes, quick recovery from the Minister of Youth and Sport. We pray by God's grace after your surgery, we'll be celebrating your sound health. Please have a blissful time.
The operation will be in 3 phases, with a total hip replacement on both hips and then the spinal cord surgery. Nigerian under-23 skipper Azubike Okechukwu and Taiwo Awoniyi will both miss the under-23 AFCON opening game against Cote d'Ivoire on November 9, after their clubs insisted they will only be released during the FIFA window, as the tournament is not on the international calendar. Okechukwu from Turkish club Istanbul Basaksehir and Maize 05 striker Awoniyi will therefore be available for the subsequent Group B matches against South Africa and Zambia. But it's not clear what will become of them and their availability should Nigeria go past the group stage of the competition, which also serves as a qualifying tournament on the national calendar. In the meantime, Austria-based forward Sunday Faleye is expected to arrive Egypt later Friday from his base. He's one of the several Euro-based stars who hit Cairo directly after the main squad departed Abuja Thursday afternoon. Isaac Success has regained full fitness and is now available for selection by Premier League club Watford. Success has been nursing a groin injury since September. Bottom team Watford, who are the lowest scoring team in the league, 5 goals thus far, welcomed Chelsea on Saturday. The big striker has battled injury as well as lack of game time at Watford, and this has meant he has been overlooked by the Super Eagles. This season, the 23-year-old striker has made 2 appearances in the Premier League. Last season, he scored a goal in 30 matches for Watford in the league. And that's it from the sporting segment of Clearview Television. I'm Ogutimehin Toludapo Ogutimehin.
There it is. What a shot from Tiger. And the Jamaican juggernaut scores his first goal for a professional side. And
And that's the size of our bulletin. But before we go, a look at the highlights. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has raised the alarm over talks being mobilized for Bayelsa and Kogi state governorship elections holding on November 16. Nigerians living with disabilities have demanded improved services at the nation's airport, saying they can no longer tolerate the shabby treatment they are often subjected to by airport personnel. An Indonesian lawyer who helped in drafting the law against adultery had been disgraced publicly with 28 strokes of the cane after being caught having sex with a married woman. And that's the news. Remember, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel via Clearview TV. Like us on Facebook via Clearview Television. Follow us on Twitter at Clearview Online. You can also follow us on Instagram at Clearview_NG. You can also watch Clearview TV on Nige Comsat with any free-to-air decoder. For details, contact your local installer. I am Francis Etuko.